Explicit warning. Before we get started on today's episode, we just want to let you know that it is filled with very interesting facts, but a lot of them are quite gruesome. If you are squeamish, if you think that this spooktacular series has put you to the edge of what you're comfortable with, don't go down this rabbit hole, because visceral reactions. You're listening to the Pithy Chronicle. History with a bite. I'm Caroline.
And I'm Erica. And we bring you history's dirtiest deeds, dripping with sarcasm.
Are you hungry yet? Welcome back, Pithy listeners. I cannot wait for this episode because we are going to be discussing one of the most infamous characters in history, Vlad the Impaler. Name alone says this is going to be a great one. Erica, what have you got?
So, I do have to say that I did have high expectations of Vlad the Impaler. I wanted there to be a story, a reason, intrigue, some good psychology. You know, the man who inspired the moody, broody, cool, romantic, but ruthless Dracula.
And?
Well, I'll let you decide.
Okay.
So without further ado...
That felt like a lot of ado.
Oh, it was a lot of ado.
Okay, without further ado.
Vlad, son of the dragon.
Ooh, see? This feels, and yes, I still have the post-COVID voice, but this feels very exciting.
Well, it's so theatrical.
Son of a dragon.
Smoke and swords and mirrors and
My
war.
5-year-old boy is all over this.
Right. So, Vlad has more titles than a Game of Thrones character. It's Vlad Tepes, which is the Romanian for Vlad the Impaler, Vlad Dracula, Vlad son of the dragon, Vlad the son of the devil, depending on who you ask.
Oh.
Voivode of Wallachia.
And we did a Voivode of Wallachia when we talked about Elizabeth Báthory.
Ruler, appointed by whoever might be in power, but we'll get there.
Okay.
And as per usual, we're not gonna just start with Vlad, because as any good historian knows, everything is the fault of the parents.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Lay it on their doorstep.
When they're right, they're right. Am I right?
Have you been watching the Dahmer series?
Oh my god, I just watched the first one and it scared the absolute daylights out of me.
It is so scary, but talk about parental judgment. Now, they were parents, but whoa. All right, on that serial killer note.
Vlad III, our Vlad, was son of Daddy Vlad, Vlad II, and we will call him
Daddy Vlad. We're going to call him
Daddy Vlad for the rest of the episode. So, Daddy Vlad was himself born of a concubine and sent to live in the court of Sigismund of Luxembourg.
Wait, who was dad to Daddy Vlad?
Who was dad to Daddy Vlad?
Yeah, he was born of a concubine, and...
Oh, yes, and Mircea I of Wallachia. So he was deemed illegitimate, but because it was born of a concubine, he was still able to fight to inherit the voivode.
So there was a wife, and then there were concubines.
There was a wife.
Okay. All right, so he was not of the wife, he was of the concubines, but still got that royal blood.
Still got that royal blood.
Okay.
If you listened to our very, 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 very first episode on Suleiman and Harem, the structure was...
Once dad dies, everybody fights for the crown.
Right, except it was more appointed rather than fight.
So it's fighting your whole life to earn the respect to then get the crown.
Right, and then if, one or two people, brothers, are killed along the way, whoop, oh darn. Can you phonate a little bit more here, Caroline?
There's always a little collateral damage, Don't be judgy.
Right. We will see throughout this episode, it's almost like a rubber band. And on each end is Christianity and Islam. So East and West, just pulling. And we'll see how that kind of snaps and how it meshes together.
That's a great analogy. Rubber band away.
Situated between the Ottoman Empire and the Holy Roman Empire. Wallachia, Moldova, Transylvania, and the Crimean Steppe was embroiled in conflict. And it's not going to end in good old Vlad's time, father or son. Daddy Vlad was sent to live in Sigismund of Luxembourg's court. At the time, he was the Holy Roman Emperor. He was also King of Hungary, which Wallachia was in and out of. Same with Transylvania and such. But he held on to this title through his wife, Mary. She didn't really like him. It was kind of that forced marriage, and she really didn't want her lands to be absorbed into his. But she's a woman, so what rights does she have? None.
That's the drill.
Now, it's not clear why Daddy Vlad was brought here. He was not a political hostage, and as a son of a concubine, he wouldn't have had a maternal family tie there. But who is to know? Not I, dear listener, not I.
But, if you had to speculate why he was there... Ideas, thoughts?
Hostage holding
opinions?
without the hostage holding?
We've seen that before, where they actually become quite close to the ruler and they are brought up in their court so that they have a good relationship so that the next generation doesn't need a hostage.
Right. And by all accounts, he had a good childhood in the Holy Roman Empire and became a decently close companion of Sigismund.
Okay.
And it does work out here for the HRE. You can appoint these folks as military leaders, which is what the voivode was, and your influence and, quote, relationship is stronger than that of your opponent, in this case, the Ottomans. So my best guess is that they were left there as political guests for their education and not as hostages.
They had no idea infamy was on its way.
They had no idea. So part of Daddy Vlad's education and indoctrination was his induction into the Order of the Dragon.
Oh God, yes.
Yes.
I don't know what that means, but I literally have 2 dragon costumes hanging out behind me for my husband and son.
They're being dragons too! My daughter's a dragon.
Oh, perfect! Yeah, we're ready.
I'm so glad you're ready, because in 1408, following the Battle of Dobor against the Christian heretics called Bogomils, in which Sigismund slaughtered 200 Bosnian noblemen, 200, many of whom had fought the Turks, Sigismund and his queen, Barbara, this is his second wife.
Thank you. I was like, what happened to Mary?
Yep.
Second wife because first wife died?
Yes, and that's why they were fighting with the Turks. Because the Turks were like, well, we'll just take this little swath of Hungary. And they were like, no. I have Hungary.
Ours.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody's hungry for Hungary.
It's a delicious slice of pie. Anyway, Sigismund and Barbara founded the league known today as the Order of the Dragon.
Oh.
Its statutes, which were written in Latin, and I won't make anyone translate, call it a society whose members carried the signum draconis, or the sign of the dragon. But it's supposed to not have had a name. It's supposed to be this nameless society.
Oh my goodness. A secret society?
Yes.
Of dragons.
And basically, you're only supposed to wear this little dragon pin or a certain dragon design on your armor, on your clothes.
So people in the know.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God. If you know, you know.
Mm-hmm. Contemporaries tried to put a name on it.
How can we discuss this in the records if we have no name?
It has no name.
The society formerly known as dragons.
You've got a ton of just fabulous names. Here are just a few. Gesellschaft mit dem Drachen, Societas Draconia su Draconistarum, Fraternitas Draconam. Basically, they all mean the same thing.
Beast mode.
Believe it or not, they adopted St. George as their patron saint.
No. They chose George of the Dragon?
Mm-hmm.
You're joking.
I'm shocked, obviously.
Honestly, that seems a little on the nose.
Does it? And for those of you who don't know, St. George defeated a dragon.
Allegedly.
he was used as a symbol for the military and religious ethos of the order. And the statute of the order survives only in a copy made in 1707. Caroline, would you read it for us?
In company with the prelates, barons, and magnates of our kingdom, whom we invite to participate with us in this party, by reason of the sign and effigy of our pure inclination and intention to crush the pernicious deeds of the same perfidious enemy, and of the followers of the ancient dragon, and, as one would expect, of the pagan knights, schismatics, and other nations of the Orthodox faith, and those envious of the cross of Christ, and of our kingdoms, and of his holy and saving religion of faith under the banner of the triumphant cross of Christ.
Pernicious and perfidious? Give me more, Everhard.
Man's got away with words.
He does.
Pernicious deeds of the same perfidious enemy. Whew.
So,
I'm intrigued, though, that it's Christ and pagan and dragon.
Oh, there's a lot going on here. There's
a lot
going on here.
There's a lot of mixed messaging going on there.
Described in general terms, the enemy was anyone anti-Christian, whether that be political or religiously.
Okay.
Or actively heretical fellow countrymen or Europeans. But of course, the primary representation here of the perfidious enemy remained the Ottoman Turks, who continued to be a problem for Sigismund's successors.
They just constantly wanted that little Hungarian pie.
Yep, the order's outward focus on foreign threats was also aimed at achieving a level of domestic cohesion. In return for the member services, the nobles could expect to enjoy royal protection, honors, and offices. The creation of the order was an instance within a larger fashion of founding chivalric orders during the 14th and early 15th centuries, not infrequently dedicated to organizing crusades.
It's part of this chivalrous tradition, and that is super big at this time.
Oh, just wait. I want you to click our link here. And then I want you to scroll your cute little self on down to founding members. And just let's take a look at who's there.
Okay. 21 original founding members. We have a lot of Latin names.
But if you look at it, they become the kings of Europe.
Okay.
A voivode of Transylvania, the Palatine or the elect who will eventually become the elector of Hungary, the Ban of Croatia, the Ban of Slovenia, royal treasurers.
The pinnacle of power at this time in this area.
Yes, and not only that, you have Ferdinand I of Naples, King Ladislaus II of Poland, Vladislaus II of Bohemia and Hungary, King Henry V of England.
What? I don't see that.
Yep. Foreign allies who were in the club but did not swear an oath of loyalty because they were kings in their own right.
That would be problematic, yeah.
Not only that.
Alfonso V of Aragon?
Yes.
Whoa. Mm-hmm. That's cool. So this is a BFD.
Yeah.
And it's a non-secret secret because clearly if we're getting Henry V involved from England.
Right.
It's out.
Yeah.
The dragon has come out of its mountain.
It's just amazing to see how many of these folks were essentially in, like, a frat. Not even essentially. Literally a fraternity to help Sigismund keep the lands he inherited / confiscated because of his wife and secure them after she died in a horse riding accident.
I mean, I think fraternities have been founded for worse reasons.
Yes.
Omega Delta. Done.
Anyway, this is not what the episode is about today.
And yet, here we are.
Obviously, Daddy Vlad is not exactly the same caliber as some of these folks initially inducted, but he was so proud that the branch of his royal house became named after the Order of the Dragon.
That is a big deal.
Yes.
Because this is a very lofty group.
He's so proud of it. He's like, you know what? I finally got the Mercedes. I'm now Joe Mercedes.
Like Windsor. He decided to get rid of Mountbatten and go in Windsor.
That's probably a more accurate one.
But yours is fun.
He was a part of the noble house of Basarab, and so his branch is the Draculesti, which is...
Oh, God. That's good.
Pretty fabulous.
Draculesti?
Yep.
Stop it.
Which was in contest with the rival branch, the Dynasty. And one can guess who the Dynasty owed their homage to.
Oh, well, if it's against the Turks, the Ottomans.
Yep. Oh, look at you.
I'm ready.
Tracking right on pace.
Loving it.
So Vlad is constantly at war with his family to gain this territory for himself. And we're still talking about Daddy Vlad. But also for the HRE. And he was on and off the throne with his rival family, the Dynasty. But eventually, he was like, Sigismund's not really helping me out a whole lot.
Whoa.
Maybe the Ottomans will.
Turncoat.
Yeah. And let's just say, it never works out for the traitors.
Benedict Arnold went
does.
down in history as just being a traitor. Nothing else.
Yeah.
So Daddy Vlad is at war with his own family?
Yes, because it's a succession issue.
Daddy Vlad now wants to inherit.
Right.
And so he's at war with his own family. We're back to the beginning.
Right.
And Sigismund, his political captor / adopted daddy.
Somewhat ally.
/ dragon friend. I mean, they're both in Omega Delta.
Yeah.
They're dragoning on the weekends. He's not helping. So he's like, fine, I need help. I'm going to shed my dragon.
Yep. And so he went to Murad II and said, hey, dude, I need some help.
Hello.
And, he helped him, all right. He helped himself right to 2 of his boys.
Oh.
Yep.
You know what I want in a bargain? 2 more children.
2 of his boys were taken as actual hostages.
No more political niceties.
Nope, this time by the Ottoman Sultan Murad II. These boys grew up to be Vlad the Impaler and Radu, who eventually became Radu the Handsome, which will be interesting a little bit later.
Oh, that seems like an unfair comparison.
You've got the Impaler and you've got the Handsome.
Which one would you choose?
I'll let you decide.
We'll see if Radu lives up to his name.
There are mixed accounts on how they were treated, but more lean towards that they were well treated and integrated as part of the family, which would make sense from what we've already heard from...
That is very common in the Ottoman Empire at the time.
Right.
And they were technically allies at this point, so they were hostages.
Right.
But to ensure good things, not bad things.
Because, let's be honest, you can't trust a traitor.
No, you can't.
So, I get it, Murad. I get it.
Murad, we're with you.
I mean, not really.
We're
not going to kidnap any children here.
He didn't kidnap. They were traded.
Were they kidnapped? Were they traded? That's also kind of meh.
Oh.
Daddy Vlad and 2 boys went in to visit, to pay homage to Murad, and only Daddy Vlad walked out.
So this was an unexpected trade.
Right.
A sprung trap.
Make no mistake, though, they were meant to secure their father's loyalty. Vlad II,
Daddy Vlad,
was convinced that his 2 sons would be, quote, butchered for the sake of Christian peace, unquote. But neither Vlad nor Radu were murdered or mutilated after their father's rebellion because, of course...
You can't trust a traitor.
You can't trust a traitor.
He left his 2 sons there and then turned again?
Yep.
Dick.
Yep. Daddy Vlad was ousted as the ruler of Wallachia by local warlords, read boyars, which we've heard of before and we'll get to a little later, and was killed in the swamps near Balenti, Wallachia in 1447.
So Daddy Vlad had succeeded, but with Ottoman help, in getting his lands.
Yes.
And then he decided to turn around and leave the Ottomans because he was really Christian.
I guess he didn't feel real good about throwing over his bros like that.
Okay, well, he shouldn't have felt good about that, so fine. Guilt.
Or maybe it was because the boys were there and he wanted the boys back. This wasn't exactly an expected trade.
But then, the Ottomans didn't even need to worry about this because some local people were like, we really can't stand you, bye.
Right.
Okay.
And Vlad's older brother, Mircea, was tortured, blinded, and then buried alive. by these folks.
Oh!
Yeah, cash.
I bet Vlad was pretty happy to be at the Ottoman Empire right now.
Well, yes and no. He was glad to be alive, but pretty pissed that his dad and his brother were murdered.
Oh, well, that's fair, but I mean, it prevented his murder.
Mm-hmm.
Out of sight, out of mind.
So John Hunyadi, who had by then become... I know, it's such a great name.
I was
Hunyadi.
like, is he going to start a car dealership?
That's Korean. Let's get it straight.
I know. John Hunyadi.
Had then become regent governor of Hungary, so not ruler, it's still under the HRE right now,
Okay.
but regent governor, invaded Wallachia in 1447.
Right after Daddy Vlad and son are brutally murdered.
Right. So once dad and brother were murdered, Murad was like, yeah, I guess I don't have that much use for you.
Bye.
So...
Ooh. Open the gate
Toodaloo.
and have a good trip.
Yeah, and Hunyadi was not a fan of that. He was like, oh, hey, you let these kids go. You don't have use for them, and I don't have use for them.
In fact, I want their lands that they're probably going to come back for with a vengeance.
Well, Wallachia is small potatoes to him.
Oh.
He's got all of Hungary.
Sure.
So Hunyadi made Vladislav II, Vlad the Dragon, so Vlad Dracula, our Vlad's cousin, the ruler of Wallachia.
Oh.
The Holy Roman Emperor is at the top.
Yep.
And then it's John Hunyadi, who has put in Vladislav II, who is our Vlad's cousin.
Vlad the Impaler's cousin.
Is that clear as absolute mud?
Yes, I'm sloshing through. And our cousins in a good relation. I mean, some cousins like each other, some cousins don't. Some cousins marry, some cousins kill.
No, because they're in the dynasty line, who typically are more on the Ottoman side of things. Listen, these people are switch hitters like nobody's business.
No wonder no one trusted them on either side.
No, they didn't.
Okay.
So, clearly not cool. Vlad the Impaler was not thrilled that he basically installed a puppet ruler and wanted, of course, what was rightfully his.
He was next in line to inherit after oldest brother was buried alive.
Right. But of course it's not all that easy, because it wasn't just...
What? He's got the dragons on his side.
Well, it wasn't just Hunyadi who had caused trouble.
So Vlad gets out of Ottoman jail, and he comes back, and he's like, cousin, get the F out of here.
GTFO.
GTFO, this will be my seat now. And then he sits there, and he gets it a little bit warm, and then...
The Boyars.
Oh, right. They killed Daddy Vlad.
We have not seen the Boyars since season 1. But they have not changed.
Where the hell have they been?
They've just been sitting, chilling. They're still in their warlord/politician phase. They're still more warlords than they are politicians, which is obviously going to fade out as we get back to the 16th century.
Empire, yeah.
They are the nobility and held a lot of military and political power, and in no shocking turn of events, they were power-hungry and in charge of the whole murder-burying-alive situation.
Yeah, they did a doozy on dad and brother.
And Vlad the Impaler, of course, was pissed and vowed to exact revenge on them. As any good son would.
I agree. He does have
Grounds.
a claim for
Right.
revenge.
They, the Boyars, with the help of the Ottomans, unseated Vlad III, Vlad the Impaler, after only 2 months of being in charge.
We literally just killed your dad and brother.
Right.
It's ballsy.
It's ballsy. And, of course, there are a lot of details that I've left out. Because he was only there for 2 months. And quite frankly, he didn't do anything really exciting to get there. So, again, he vows, never again.
Revenge again.
He's kind of fighting in this time period, his interregnum, so to speak.
Nice.
You're welcome. He's fighting and trying to gain power and money and loyalty and a posse.
Everybody needs one.
Everyone needs one. And in 1453, one of the biggest, most earth-shattering things to ever happen in human history happened. The city of Constantinople fell to the Ottomans.
Big, huge.
This threatened all of Europe with an Ottoman invasion. Vlad was charged with leading a force to defend Wallachia from an invasion.
Who charged him?
I don't know. He's not voivode at this point. I guess the HRE.
So the HRE was like, all right, I know I know that we've kind of helped to murder some of your family members. Don't worry about that. We're going to make amends, but first,
But first,
gotta do something about this problem brewing in the East.
Hey, you help us out doing this little thing, protect against the anima.
And then maybe we could, let you live and...
Well, I'm sure we can help you get that cute little throne back.
Wallachia, it's just so quaint.
So quaint.
So dragony.
Finally, he was able to hold off the Ottomans. And it only took 3 more years for him to actually get back on the throne of Wallachia.
Oh my.
He was finally victorious. And legend still holds that he personally beheaded his opponent, Vladislav II, in one-on-one combat. And remember, Vladislav was the one that John Hunyadi put on the throne.
Cousin.
Yes.
So he killed the cousin.
He did kill the cousin.
The first time he did not. Then he got dethroned. Then he had to fight for 3 years to defend his city and get the HRE to back him. And then cousin versus cousin to the death.
Yep, and he beheaded him, allegedly.
Cousins are so interesting. In history, they're either super close or super hateful.
Or super both. You can start out real close and then you're going to whack them in the end.
Or your future spouse. So hard to say with cousins.
And you know what? You still might whack him in the end.
It's true.
So just to add insult to injury, his brother, Radu the Handsome, had really embraced the Ottoman lifestyle, so much so that he was an intimate friend of Mehmed II, who was around his age.
I heard the word intimate, and I'm going to intimate that might mean something.
Indeed, you caught me.
You weren't all that sly.
It was not intended to be. I only found 2 sources that hinted at him being actually, wink wink, intimate, but the rumor is still there.
They were too close for comfort at the time, and it made people talk.
And whether or not they did or not, who's to know?
Is Mehmed II son of Murad II?
Yes. So they grew up together. And Mehmed II is Mehmed the Conqueror, the man who conquered Constantinople.
So brother handsome, besties. In one way or another, with the Ottoman that brother Vlad, the Impaler, is trying to force out of his land.
Yeah.
Oh no. Brothers divided.
So we're now in 1457, and Vlad is back on the throne after holding back the conquering Ottomans, and he will reign another 8 years before he is deposed again.
Oh.
But not before he does his absolute worst.
Oh, thank God. When are we going to start murdering people? I signed up for this episode for heads on a stick.
Well, no heads, but full bodies on sticks. So.
Worse.
First things first, we've got to get rid of those pesky boyars and their families who dethroned him the last time.
Vengeance is a dish best served cold.
Yes.
4 years later, he's ready.
It's so interesting that you mentioned dishes. So listen.
Oh no. What?
This is from the oldest Romanian historical chronicle that records the event 2 centuries later.
So very accurate.
Just wait, Caroline, just wait.
We want to believe it. Let's go.
It had taken place in the spring of 1457 during the Easter celebrations that the boyars were attending at the palace. Quote, when Eastern Day came, while all the citizens were feasting and the young ones were dancing, he, Dracula, surrounded them, the boyars, led them together with their wives and children just as they were dressed up for Easter to Poneri, which is a castle, where they were put to work until their clothes were torn and they were left naked, unquote. Not only did this serve as a punishment, it created a slave labor force that was then dispensed of via impaling once they became not useful anymore.
Oh my gosh.
And this included women and children.
Of course it did.
And once they were all killed, Vlad raised his supporters to these coveted boyar positions and therefore centralized power in his allies that, of course, supported him. And no one wants to go against the guy that's impaling folks.
I have so many thoughts. Number 1, why were the boyars there? Why did they not know that he was going to take revenge? Are they stupid? Did they think he forgave them?
I guess they thought he forgave them. They were there for Easter.
Okay, yeah, it's Jesus' day. It's fine.
Not only that, they're probably at court at one of the castles.
Like, at his court.
Yeah.
Because these were his nobles.
Yeah, they were his boyars.
So he gets the crown back, and to their face, all like, let's have an Easter celebration.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get there dressed in their prettiest little fluffy white dresses to find themselves becoming slaves. And then when they're not, oh, did he impale them all at once?
No.
Once you fall, you get impaled.
Well, once you're not useful.
Were the children useful at the beginning?
I don't know.
Because as a parent, to see your child, oh.
Mm-hmm.
How did the impaling work? Do I want to know?
There are 2 types of impaling.
Oh.
So one,
I didn't know that there were types.
the first is probably the least gruesome in that it was just through the midsection and you were kind of speared like a fish.
Post-death? Pre-death?
This is a pre.
This is the death.
This is the death. Impaling is a form of crucifixion.
Uh-huh.
You are impaled, and it is asphyxiation, essentially, that kills you if puncturing a organ does not. If you have someone who's not, say, adept at impaling. But
I would think Vlad here would get pretty good at it.
yeah, pretty good, because there will be a lot of them.
And did he do it personally, or he ordered it done?
I mean, I doubt he went about spearing them all. But then, of course, there's the second, and this is really explicit.
Oh.
If you were a female,
no!
Oh, yes. It was inserted in the vagina and came out of your neck. Somehow they managed to do this without puncturing major organs, and you would sit there and slide down the pole for hours to days. It was a very slow, very hard, bad death.
Just gonna say that these women and children did not deserve that.
Mm-mm.
The boyars didn't consult their wives before overthrowing him.
And of course, if you're a man, it is inserted through your anus and exits the same way. Or if you're really just terrible, it will come up through your mouth.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Hours to days.
Mm-hmm. Hours to days.
And they did this to all of them.
Right. It was all slow. If it wasn't this, we have cases, and we'll talk about this later, of him boiling people alive.
I'm sorry. My brain is hurting after what just was.
Yeah. Oh, it's gonna hurt worse. Let me tell you, this man could keep a grudge.
Yeah.
Remember when the HRE didn't help him get out of his hostage years, nor sent aid when his father was overthrown?
Oh no.
Well, he was pissed.
20 years later?
Yeah. And supported a rebellion to put the Hunyadis on the throne.
I thought we didn't like Hunyadi. Yeah. We didn't like John, but Matthias here is gonna be fine.
I don't know what to tell you, man.
Turncoats. Got it.
Daddy Vlad hated John Hunyadi. Well, Daddy Vlad's dead.
Yeah.
The guy he's backing, Matthias Covinius. His uncle was apparently a very big patron of Vlad's, so...
He just liked impaling things.
And he, Dracula, supported the rebellion to put the Hunyadis on the throne, specifically Matthias Covinius, who Dracula was so on and off again with, you would think they were middle school girls.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh, the drama.
It's so much drama.
Oh, wait. Is his name Dracula? Actually named Dracula.
Yes, so it is Vlad Dracula.
He took Dracula from dragons.
Vlad Dracul is from Daddy Vlad, and he fashioned himself Vlad Dracula, the son of the dragon.
When did he take on this new name?
I mean, it's always kind of been there.
To be fair, the Impaler came after the Impaling. He had to have a name before that.
Yeah, Impaler is...
historically added.
The name that he was given because of his deeds. The sobriquet is the Impaler.
Got it. Literally Dracula.
During the summer of 1460, Dracula organized his final raid on Transylvania. Dracula struck in the early morning after passing through the great forest with his cavalry force. He burned the town of Amlis and impaled all of the citizens, a priest having led the procession to the burial scene.
Wait, a priest?
Just wait for it. Dracula's raid on Amlis was aimed at eliminating any remaining dissident resistance and at killing rival contenders to his throne. Dracula knew, for instance, that the boyar Bogdan Dobaka was hiding in the village of Sirkaya in the Fagaris district.
He was hiding?
Mm-hmm.
Because he knew this was coming?
Yeah.
Because he didn't get with the Easter celebration?
Yup.
Oh.
So Dracula razed the entire village to the ground.
For hiding him.
It had to be completely repopulated in the following century. Similar was the village of Micah. The narrator behind tells us that Dracula burned or destroyed half the communities in the Amlis district, including the capital city by that name. He, quote, assembled all the citizens and all those he could find, unquote, from other villages and hanged them on hooks and pitchforks after having had his men hack them to pieces with knives, swords, and sabers. Amlis was reduced to a ghost town and still is today. Yeah.
Today?
I think today. Behind claims that altogether some 30,000 Germans were killed during this Dracula raid on the district of Almas. While we know that 30K is a little steep,
oh my god,
that has been pretty well refuted.
Oh, okay.
Total propaganda.
Feeling better.
This is what we can actually confirm. He did slaughter the inhabitants of a village named Bod, B-O-D. He impaled one of his own captains who reported an inability to take an enemy position, quote, for the inhabitants are brave and well fortified, unquote.
So screw that, you're impaled.
Yep.
Next.
Impaling as spies 41 Saxons who came to Wallachia to learn the Romanian language.
Ooh, I like that one.
Boiling alive 600 Saxon merchants.
What did the merchants do?
The merchants were the ones that were hiding the boyars. And
Oh.
the Saxon merchants were helping to fund a lot of the resistance.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say they brought it on themselves.
But also fair.
Yeah.
Let's not get impaled.
You've heard what he does.
Yeah. Some of them, to make it slower, the tips of the stakes are rounded.
Oh my god.
Forcing one captured rival claimant with Saxon support to go through a mass for the dead, clothed in funerary vestments before personally beheading him.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Honestly, that guy, well, it would have been very psychologically damaging. He's gonna die soon anyway. And beheading sounds way better than impaling. If I have to pick.
Yeah, listen, behead me.
Guillotine away.
If I have to pick, behead me.
Okay.
A lot of folks think that huge 30,000 number is conflated
Yes.
with a different massacre.
Oh, so it happened just to different people.
Just to different people.
Oh my god.
So you remember how Vlad wasn't always a super fan of Mehmed II?
And his brother was his bestie? Yeah.
Well, that didn't really fly over well with Mehmed, who really wanted to annex Wallachia and Moldavia and Transylvania into his empire.
Right, the Ottomans are still at the door
Right.
trying to get in.
The battle started after Mehmed, who had already tense relations with Vlad, discovered his alliance with Hungary's king, Matthias Corvinus.
And he's had that for a while now.
Yeah. And ordered his forces to ambush him. Vlad foiled the attack and invaded Bulgaria. In response, Mehmed raised a great army with the objective to conquer Wallachia and annex it to his empire.
Whew.
The two leaders fought a series of skirmishes, the most notable being the night attack, where Vlad attacked the Turkish camp in the night in the attempt to kill Mehmed.
That's a good plot. It's a good plan.
Yeah, just wait. The assassination attempt failed, and Mehmed marched to the Wallachian capital of Targoviste, where he found a few men with cannons. After leaving the capital, Mehmed discovered 23,844 impaled Turks, whom Vlad had killed during his invasion of Bulgaria. The number is mentioned by Vlad himself in a letter to Matthias Corvinus. The Sultan and his troops then sailed to Brela and burned it to the ground before retreating to Adrianople.
So the Sultan gets there and he looks around and sees 24,000 people impaled and they're all his countrymen.
Yep.
And he just says, okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
I'm gonna burn a town on the way out, but bye.
Now, both sides claimed victory in this campaign, and Mehmed's forces returned home with many captured slaves, horses, and cattle.
And 24,000 less supporters.
Oh, well, they're Bulgarians.
Turkish.
They're just Turkish Bulgarians.
So he just took any Turkish person in Bulgaria and was like, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead.
Right.
Okay.
If you want a description of it, I've got one.
Oh, goody!
This is from Launikos, Halkokoondylis, and this is worse than the other one. So, the Sultan's army entered into the area of the impalements, which was 17 stades long and 7 stades wide. There were long stakes on which, as it was said, about 20,000 men, women, and children had been spitted. Quite a sight for the Turks and the Sultan himself. The Sultan was seized with amazement and said that it was not, it's a word, and said that it was not possible to deprive of his country a man who had done such great deeds, who had such a diabolical understanding of how to govern his realm and his people. And he said that a man who had done such things was worth much. The rest of the Turks were dumbfounded when they saw the multitude of men on the stakes. There were infants, too, affixed to their mothers on the stakes, and birds had made their nests in their entrails, unquote.
I'm getting things together in my head.
Yep. Take your time.
So the Sultan thought this was the deed of a great man?
According to this guy.
This dude knows how to govern his people?
I mean, Dracula did say, I could leave a golden chalice in the fountain in the town square and no one would touch it.
I wouldn't touch it.
I wouldn't touch it.
Fair enough, Dracula. Holy crap. Oh, with the babies and their moms. Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Yeah. So eventually, there's no good way to transition here.
Awkward pause. Painful. What's next?
Eventually, the main Ottoman army left Wallachia, but Vlad's brother, Radu the Handsome, and his Ottoman troops stayed behind in the Baragan plain.
Okay.
Radu sent messengers to the Wallachians reminding them that the Sultan could invade their country at any time. Although Vlad defeated Radu and his Ottoman allies in 2 battles during the following months, and more Wallachians deserted to Radu.
To Radu?
Yeah.
They had to think anybody would be better than this impaling guy, because sometimes we see a moniker and we think, no, that really doesn't fit. The Impaler fits, and it is unique for a reason.
Vlad, after losing people and the
support. I bet people that supported him started to see that it was becoming pathological.
Yeah.
We're gonna move over to Radu.
Vlad withdrew to the Carpathian Mountains, hoping that his good friend that he had helped put on the throne, Matthias Corvinus, would help him regain his title.
And?
Well, he didn't.
Oh. Well, then what did he do?
Imprisoned him.
I'm going to ask why, but
because it definitely was not the
because
impalings.
I don't think it was the impalings, and that's what it should have been for.
So, to provide an explanation for Vlad's imprisonment to Pope Pius II, because for some reason Pope Pius was like, dude, what's up with this?
No, Pope Pius should have been like, well done.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Pope Pius and the Venetians had sent money to finance a campaign against the Ottomans. And
technically, Vlad was doing a great job with that.
Right, technically.
Less Ottomans now live.
Yes. So Corvinus presented 3 letters, allegedly written by Vlad to Mehmed II, Mahmud Pasha, and Stephen of Moldavia. According to the letters, Vlad offered to join his forces with the Sultan's army against Hungary if the Sultan restored him to his throne. Most historians agree that the documents were forged to give grounds for Vlad's imprisonment. Corvinus's court historian admitted that the reason for Vlad's imprisonment was never clarified. Florescu writes, quote, the style of writing and the rhetoric of meek submission hardly compatible with what we know from Dracula's character. Clumsy wording and poor Latin, unquote, are all evidence that the letters could not be written on Vlad's order. He associates the author of the forgery with a Saxon priest.
Okay.
I kind of think something personal went down. What that was, I have no idea.
It could literally be he accidentally impaled a liked cousin of this guy. It could be anything.
I mean,
he killed so many people. He could have pissed him off in so many ways.
So what we do know is that Matthias eventually tried to set him back up. And not only set him up back on the throne, but set him up with a wife. And so he...
After the imprisonment.
Yeah, during the imprisonment.
He tried to marry
Dracula.
He did marry Dracula to someone while imprisoned.
His cousin.
His cousin.
Yep.
Did he imprison him just to make sure he became part of the family?
He was set up to be married to Matthias's cousin, which he did marry after a rededication to the Catholic Church, allegedly.
Okay.
And this was his second wife, and...
Who was his first wife?
They didn't write it down.
Why would they? Okay.
She's a woman.
A circle wife.
A circle
Did he
wife.
have to get rid of wife number 1, or did she die?
She died.
Was she impaled? What happened in this imprisonment? Anything exciting?
There are no records.
Oh my.
In 1475, he was declared again by Corvinus as the rightful voivode of Wallachia and sent to reclaim his throne
75.
without military support.
So that is a 13-year imprisonment / forced marriage.
Mm-hmm.
13 years
Yes.
without the ability to impale someone. He must have been going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And
okay.
he did reclaim his throne without any help. However, the Ottomans were pretty miffed about losing the territory again and set out about relieving him of his position by way of relieving him of his head.
It's really the only way at this point.
Mm-hmm.
This cat has 9 lives. Or he turns into a bat and...
Or, that's how the story goes. His head was cut off in battle and presented to Mehmed on his throne in Constantinople. But, the body was also allegedly interred at a church near his home in Wallachia, but when they went looking for the body, it had mysteriously disappeared.
Ooh.
And that, my friends, is that.
No! We really
Yes.
don't know how he died?
We really don't know.
And we really don't know where he is.
We really don't know where he
his
is.
mortal remains.
Yeah, we definitely know. We definitely know where his soul is.
Down to the
He
basement.
is definitely a bad character.
My guess is, if we go back to the psychological aspect, the imprisonment took its toll on Vlad here. Maybe because Raju was so preferred by Mehmed II.
Do you want to know where he learned how to impale people? The Ottoman court.
Oh, really? Okay, then.
He is still lauded as a folk hero in Romania because he did so much to fight off Turkish invasion and to keep their national identity alive.
Valid. But that's necessary, military, get it over, get it done, moving on. Versus sadistic killing. It felt personal in a way that it shouldn't.
And it sent a message.
It sent a message.
I also think it's very interesting that he is the impaler and staking people, but that's how you kill a vampire.
And on that note, thank you for joining us on this journey through hell.
Dark and devilish.
It's definitely devilish, although he is not of the devil, he's of the dragon. And with that, I'm Caroline.
And I'm Erica. And we are...
Pithily yours.
This episode is brought to you by the Pithy Chronicle, LLC. The Pithy Chronicle is intended for education, entertainment, and non-commercial purposes. Any views or opinions expressed in this podcast are personal and do not represent those of people, institutions, or organizations that the owner may or may not be associated with in a professional or personal capacity. While we offer lots of sarcasm, this podcast does not offer any advice or services. Listening to this podcast may induce fits of laughter, unexpected distraction, or uncontrollable rage at the subjects, hopefully not at us. We hope you learned something today. If not, so sorry. Please be advised we are not experts in the following fields: medical, legal, financial, technological, thermonuclear engineering, submarine warfare, neuroscience, or cat husbandry. Thanks for listening to our little disclaimer. Just covering our history-loving asses. Bye!